إن الله يحب الذين يقاتلون في سبيله صفا كأنهم بنيان مرصوص. Allah loves those who fight in His cause just like a solid cemented structure. So I'd like to begin by there's something that is clearly that we're into. We've been expecting it. Not the expectation where you're waiting by the door for the mailman to come with your check, for something other. Not like that. But as the years go by, a person begins to recognize cycles in their own life. They just recognize them. And they recognize what they did. I would say, first of all, this is different than the cycle of the 1960s or the couple of cycles in the 1960s. When you're in your early 20s, like, stuff like that. The more cycles you go through, I'll call them movement cycles, not just normal life cycles. Like you get 55 years old, you want to have a second fling at life, am I getting too old? So you go buy a red convertible or something and get a new haircut. A lot of senior citizens do that. What do they call it? Midlife crisis. Well, alhamdulillah, I never had any of those. I guess boss man be working on you so much you have you get to, anyway, it's a long story. But I want to open tonight with the first statement and the second statement is, number one, increase speed. Number two, increase care. What that means is that we live in our own kind of a bubble, and people come in and out of that bubble all the time. They come, maybe they throw a few rocks, maybe they come and clap and cheer, and then you never see them again. Yeah, you saw them every day for 10, 15, 20 years, and you just don't see them anymore. Not a trace. They're gone in 60 seconds, like the car stealing guy. Remember Nicholas Gage? They gone in 60 seconds. The Negro, they be like that. They be there, permanent fixture, then they be gone. So what I mean to talk about tonight is, and I'll try to be brief, increase speed, but increase care. So we'll be traveling, the movement will be traveling at higher speeds. But we're going to be careful about what we're doing, not because of any fear or it's just that it's natural. If you're traveling at a velocity beyond what you normally travel at, well, you have to check all your tires, you have to check them regularly, you have to check your braking system. You have to make sure, and even all your propulsion and braking, you got to check it out, because it's not that safety is the main concern, but in a movement like we're involved in a movement where the people are like they are, we're playing a special place in it, and we kind of have an idea what it is. Most of it in recent years, we've chose it for ourselves. So, but now The climate, even when it's good news, they have a big snowstorm and all that in California, great. But if it lasts, that'll be fine. What I mean is the drought is 20 years old. And what do they call them? Little shifts in the time. I mean, in the climate. Some effect when it affect it's butterfly effect. No, but that's something to think about. If a butterfly flap their wings over here, you're gonna feel it in China. Is that the one you're talking?
That's the one I thought you were saying.
No, no, I was talking about El Nino. That's what I was thinking. Okay, they happen to be having either El Nino or La Nina. Anyway, they getting some nice snow. I mean, because see, I be thinking about traveling, and I would travel. All is fine here. Then I'd get into Nevada, and I had to go up the hills and come down into California. And that last pass is one of the passes that in the wintertime you usually have to have chains and all that stuff. And they're having a lot of snow out there, which is good. And they're gonna have a big snow pack. That means that no matter what happened, at least this year, they're gonna have a lot of runoff, and it'll be a good year for California. Very possible it'll be a good year. But they've been in a 20-year cycle of drought. The pumps are not pumping water anymore. They keep drilling deeper and deeper. They're drilling up all the water. Anyway, things are increasing. So during this period, we won't be carrying on like we had during this last period. I mean, it'll be a little quicker, more specific. And that's what's necessary for this period. So we'll increase the speed, but we'll increase the care. Not the type of care where you mousing around and you're scared. No, the same kind of care we've been had, that we're going straight for the jugular on whatever it is we're supposed to be doing. And we're not going to be, oh, well, I want to live a long time and I want to do this and I want to. We want to do what we're supposed to do. And we leave the rest to Allah. Not only the rest, we leave it all to Allah, but we know that we have an opportunity. We're living in a great period, man. And I don't know how everybody else feels, but it feels fine. Taqwa and management. Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui called it muttaqi leadership. That is a leadership that has taqwa. If we notice, that's the absentee landlord, the absentee behavior factor. Muttaqi leadership. We have leadership, but they don't have no taqwa. Or let me rephrase it. It doesn't look like they have taqwa by their behavior. They might have it, they just don't look like it. Usually in warfare, they have a spring offensive. A spring offensive is because you can't do nothing in the winter. Barbarossa started in June, May or June in 1941. And they come all the way through Russia. And when the winter came in, they was frozen at Stalingrad. They just hadn't read the history books about Napoleon going to Russia. All the way Russia. I think 8 time zones. So if you knock over 3-4 time zones, right, you still got the size of the United States left. And they did that. They took all their machinery, everything, put it on railroad cars, and took it back beyond Moscow. And all the people that could leave, they left. Scorched earth, that policy. They didn't leave nothing for the Germans. So we're having a winter offensive. And this is at the peak of winter. Solstice, December the 21st was back a couple of days. Solstice when the sun stands. When daylight and night is the same, about the same. Or technically, no, it's the shortest period. When daylight and night is the same, is at the two other in spring and in the fall. It is a time when, like the 20th of September, daylight and darkness is basically the same. And then on the 21st, I use 21s, it's popping in here, 20 and 21s. First day of spring. Okay, we're familiar with it more than anything because we all heard of spring cleaning and all of that. When you go to Iran, you realize it. See, they go on that solar calendar that they have, and they've been having this for centuries before Islamic. So if you look at they have the Hijra calendar, the Persian solar calendar, which has the same amount of days, that this has over here, which was their original calendar. Then they have the Hijra calendar. Well, New Rules, you ever heard of New Rules? New Rules, New Year. This is New Rules, a big celebration in Iran. Just to get off the subject for a minute, the first time when it's in the 80s, I was in Iran for a long time. I was picking up the language and everything. So the brothers had me a nice spot, I was staying permanently at the Istiglal Hotel, Revolutionary Hotel. And so I would look out the window. I was probably on the 15th floor, and I said, hey, man, everywhere we've been going, it was in March, I said, saw all the little kids picking up sticks and firewood and everything. What are they going to do with that? They said, they know it was Jahiliyyah, so they just said, before they were Zoroastrians, the fire worshippers. Zoroaster wasn't a bad guy. His teachings was reasonable. So they fire worshippers. So now this is the height of the revolution. So I look out my window that night, and all over Tehran, it was bonfires. I said, oh. I'm not going to say, hey, man, you guys, what's happening with Islam? And it's like if we kept June the 6th, what was that, Juneteenth or something? Well, it's just, all the people do it. Malaysians, they got times. Indonesians, they don't say we're doing this. It happens to be marked on the calendar, though. Everybody knows it better than the Eid. But so anyway, I said, man, what's all the little kids going picking up sticks and firewood? Oh. Another one was the 13th of Farvardin. Friday the 13th and all that. It kicks off from that. So, there's usually no 13th floor on the elevator. So the holidays you go out. So this holiday, everybody goes out of town. And I said, man, it looks like an exodus. And everybody had wheatgrass on their car. You know the same wheatgrass you go to the health food store? They blend up that wheatgrass. I say, why is everybody leaving town? I mean, it's an exodus. And they all got that, they got wheatgrass on the car. So I come to find out, they're good brothers. They're strictly deep into Islam. But I said, oh, okay. I said, what are they going to do with it? He said, no, that people, they're going to go out and then they're going to throw it over their shoulder for some kind of luck. I said, that's right. I'll be doggone.